What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight at 160 pounds between the American Olympian Tyrell Gausha and the young rising prospect Elijah Garcia. Guys, before we continue, I want to say thank you to all my new subscribers. Thank you to everybody who's been with me since day one. If you haven't already, could you please hit subscribe, like this video, as well as hit the bell notification button so you could be notified every time I put something out that's new. Thank you. All right, guys, this is an interesting matchup on the undercard of Sebastian Fundora and Chordale. What better word could you say than crossroads for both guys? You got Tyrell Gausha, who's an American Olympian. He's fought for world titles before. He's one of these guys that's skilled. He could hang in there with the best of them. Every time he's had an opportunity to take that next step, he hasn't quite been able to do that. But he's a slick, orthodox fighter from Cleveland, Ohio, 37 years old, now or never, fighting a 21-year-old young, hungry, strong southpaw in Elijah Garcia. The narrative going into this fight, guys, both men are coming off of losses. This is definitely a fight in which both guys need a victory. With Gausha, he talks about he needs an emphatic victory to put himself in another big fight opportunity. And with Garcia, the young 21-year-old says he just wants to get back to his winning ways. Now, if you look at the rankings, it's interesting. One guy is ranked at super middleweight, which he's never fought at 168. But because Garcia missed weight in his last fight against Kyron Davis, the way the algorithm on BoxRec works, it says, well, you missed weight at 160, we're going to rank you at 168. And with Gausha, this guy's been known to put his hand up to fight anyone. We've seen Gausha fight in big fights before, dating all the way back when he fought Erislandy Lara, he's fought Erickson Lubin, Tim Tszyu. So this weight class of 160 isn't necessarily all too foreign to him, but it's not his natural weight class. This fight is a middleweight fight. I want to highlight that. Moving forward in this video, we're going to look at what both guys have been up to. We're going to talk a little bit about their most recent wins, their most recent losses, how they go about their business, what's at stake for each fighter. Also, stay tuned to the end of this video. We're going to be telling you where to put your money on. I'm going to be talking about Las Vegas odds, where the bettors are putting their money on, and like always, I'm going to ask you for your prediction as well. Before we go any further, I want to go over a little bit about what this fight means to Tyrell Gausha and what to expect from Garcia. Guys, Tyrell Gausha thinks Elijah Garcia has bitten off more than he can chew. On a virtual press conference Tuesday for the Seb Fundora Chordale fight on March 22nd, the 37-year-old Gausha spoke confidently about his upcoming fight with Garcia, 21. Gausha has fought several champions in and around 154 pounds, usually losing close decisions. Most recently, Gausha lost a wide unanimous decision to Carlos Adames, who retained his WBC middleweight title on February 22nd with a draw against Hamza Shiraz in Riyadh. Guys, we streamed that fight. I feel Adames won that fight fair and square. But anyway, I digress. I quote, "I'll fight anybody," Gausha said. "I just love to fight." Asked whether he thought Garcia made a mistake by lining up a fight with him, Gausha said, "I definitely do. I respect him taking the fight, but he made a mistake taking this fight. But I got to take my hat off to him because he's like me. We're fighters. We like to fight the best. I've been preparing to give the fans a good fight, and hopefully he's been doing the same." Though Gausha, 24-4-1 with 12 knockouts, tends to fall short against the elite, he has fought to a draw against Austin Trout and in close decision losses to Erislandy Lara and Tim Tszyu, the latter of whom he knocked down. We last saw the prospect Garcia in his last fight against Kyron Davis taking his first loss via close split decision. Gausha rejected the tag of him being a gatekeeper and asserts that fighting the southpaw Garcia is nothing new to him, citing his experience against southpaws Lara, Trout, and Lubin. Gausha also gave Garcia credit for his pressure-first style. "I've been training really hard to keep up with his pace." Gausha, with a win over Garcia, thinks that this will put him in good standings in the middleweight division, and it will also give him opportunity for another big fight. "I feel like it'll put me on a good step for a world title as well. Obviously, I still want to fight people like Lara. I want some redemption, but my job is to worry about Elijah Garcia first, and then we get the big fights after this." Guys, when I look at this matchup, like I said, 21-year-old prospect Elijah Garcia, a lot of hype on him. It's still there. He had one close split decision loss. He came in overweight. He has a fan-friendly style. He's a big southpaw, has pop in his hands, doesn't take a back step, super fun to watch. And with Gausha, this is a classy fighter, seasoned veteran, been through it. He's seen all the styles. I want to take a closer look at what Elijah Garcia has been up to in his career. Guys, Garcia is 16-1 with 13 knockouts. He carries into the ring an 81% career knockout to win ratio. He has fought a career 64 total rounds in the Americans, a 21-year-old southpaw standing at 6 feet tall with a 71-inch reach. We last saw him fight Kyron Davis, 18-3, lost a split decision. Resendez, 14-1, knockout in the 8th. Zambrano, 15-1, UD in the 10th. Vidal, 16-0, knockout in the 4th. Stewart, 8-1, knockout in the 8th. So there's nothing tricky or fancy about Elijah Garcia, what he wants to do. He wants to control that center. He wants to use his lead foot to set up his range, and he wants to pressure his opponents into melting, in which he can land those big shots. Like I said earlier, he's really fun to watch. At 21 years old in this division, he has a lot of time to grow, a lot of time to mature, and a lot of time to polish up his skills. This is a step up. Terrell Gausha is no slouch. He's not an easy win. So when you look at the odds, which we'll cover here in a second, I'm actually a little bit kind of surprised they are what they are. Before we get there, let's first take a closer look at Gausha and what he's been up to. Guys, Terrell Gausha is 24-4 with 12 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 50% career knockout to win ratio and has fought a career 189 pro rounds. The American's 37 years old, and the Orthodox fighter stands at 5'10" with a 73.5-inch reach. We last saw him fight Carlos Adames, 23-1, UD in the 12th. Leatherwood, 23-8, won a majority decision in the 8th. Lynch, 12-1, knockout in the 9th. Tim Tszyu, 20-0, lost the decision. Jamonte Clark, 15-1, knockout in the 2nd. The thing about Terrell Gausha, he could survive in a fight. There's a reason why he's never been knocked out. All of his losses are by decisions. That is just a cheers and a tip to the hat about how smart he is in the ring. He figures his opponents out, and it's just sometimes at the highest level, he doesn't always have the firepower and the arsenal to get these victories, but he's always in the fight. That's why I think he's going to pose some interesting puzzles for the 21-year-old prospect. Now, we know about mentality and how psychology is everything in this sport. Even though Gausha has 4 losses, he is a former Olympian. He's fought for world titles before. So at 37 years old, nothing's going to rattle a 37-year-old prize fighter. With Garcia, we don't know how he comes back from a loss. We've never seen him lose before, and this will be his first fight having tasted defeat. So that's something to think about in regards to having to predict a performance. If you ask Las Vegas and you ask the bettors where their money's at, they're leaning on the young 21-year-old prospect, and here's how. Guys, the betting app I use down here in Australia is called Sportsbet. At the moment, they're not allowing any prop bets on this fight. They're only allowing bettors to take the money line. And as it sits, Elijah Garcia is a $1.14 favorite, meaning if you put $100 on Elijah to win at any cost, you only get 14 back. If you pick the draw, it's 21-1, and they have Terrell Gausha, the seasoned veteran, as a 650-1 underdog, meaning $100 gets you $650 back. Now, when you look at both guys coming off of losses, when you look at the knockout artist prospect Garcia and the veteran Gausha, I was predicting that maybe this was a more 3-1 fight, 4-1 fight. 650 does seem a little bit disrespectful for Gausha, but obviously the bettors and the experts are thinking that the arsenal, the firepower, the pressure, and the stamina and the tempo of Garcia is going to be too much for the 37-year-old. This is not a 37-year-old man's sport. We know it's a young man's sport. So with that being said, here's my prediction. I expect Gausha to be tough. I expect him to give Garcia everything he can handle. I don't know how much energy Gausha is going to have in the mid to late rounds. I don't know how much excitement he still has to wanting to be a world champion, considering he's been in so many close fights at the top to become one, and he's fallen short. That does something to a guy. With Garcia, you'd have to think this kid is a fighter through and through. He lost one fight, a close split decision. You're going to have to think his whole fight camp, he's going to want to prove the naysayers wrong. He's going to want to come in on weight. He's going to first want to beat the scales. He does that, that's one victory. And then I feel he's going to want to be his polished best against Gausha. Give him an opportunity to put a former world title contender on his resume and tell people he beat also an Olympian. I'm picking the young 21-year-old prospect. It's hard to bet against the southpaw right now with where you see that career trajectory going, the power he has in his hands, the style that Gausha is going to show him. Gausha's not going to pressure him, so you feel Garcia is going to be patient and not have to worry about anything coming back his way. I think it's just going to come down to how much Gausha could take and how long he could avoid the power of Garcia. I'm picking him to win. In the comment section below, Who do you got, the young 21-year-old or the 37-year-old veteran? And how will they win? Leave all that below. Also, what's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's fight at 154 pounds between young knockout artist Jesus Ramos Jr. and late replacement Guido Schramm. In the co-main event of the title fight between Sebastian Fundora and Chordale Booker this weekend, we have a fight at 154 pounds between young Jesus Ramos Jr. and late replacement Guido Schramm. Guys, this fight was supposed to be Ramos Jr. versus Kevin Salgado. Salgado pulls out. In steps the Argentinian replacement. Now, a lot of the boxing pundits online are saying that some people would have been happier to see Jesus Ramos Jr. in the main event against Sebastian Fundora, but maybe one day we'll get to see that, just not yet. This PBC fight card is stacked with a lot of prospects, and when you look at this fight, it might not jump out on paper in terms of a close fight, but it does have star power, potential champion power with Ramos Jr. So in this video, we're going to be going over both fighters. We're going to talk a little bit about what both fighters have been up to. I'm going to fill you guys in on what to expect. We'll go over those Las Vegas odds, and stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to give you my prediction on where I'm putting my money. Guys, Jesus Ramos Jr., we just saw him fight on the David Benavidez and David Morrell undercard. He's coming off a victorious 8th round stoppage of Jason Rosario. Ramos Jr. just had a birthday, so we also want to say happy 24th. This is the nephew of Abel Ramos, so you know boxing pedigree runs through his blood. When you look at his resume so far at such a young age, he's given Joey Spencer his only loss, and we know Spencer just came down here to Australia. In a few weeks, he'll be taking on Tim Tszyu in what some claim is a pecking order fight in terms of what's next for both guys. Ramos Jr.'s only defeat has come against Erickson Lubin. So at 24 years old, he's already proved himself in terms of where he is going in his career, what he's capable of at a championship level. He's still maturing and still developing. So the fans of Ramos Jr. are very excited. His fan-friendly style, the southpaw, wants to go in there and finish the fight. With his opponent, he's coming off 2 losses. The Argentinian Schramm is trying to kind of find redemption in a sense, because his last fight, he faced a late replacement and he was knocked out. So you have to think his camp, his team has seen something. Maybe they've seen something that I haven't seen for them to put their hand up. For another fighter to step in on late replacement and give us the opportunity to see a rising contender like Ramos Jr., we just have to tip our cap to the Argentinian fighter. So now let's get started on what to expect with this fight. Guys, this fight goes down this weekend at the Michelob Ultra Arena in Las Vegas. I just want to also mention Ramos Jr.'s original opponent, Kevin Salgado, when he pulled out, he didn't give a reason. So instead, this is why he's facing Guido Schramm in the co-feature underneath the main event, which will pit unified junior middleweight title holder Seb Fundora against Chordale Booker. Ramos is 22-1 with 18 knockouts. He's a 24-year-old junior middleweight from Arizona whose only loss was a controversial decision defeat to Erickson Lubin in September of 23. Ramos has won 2 straight since, including a 9th round TKO of Johan Gonzalez last May. Gonzalez just sent Jarrett Hurd into retirement. And an 8th round TKO of Jason Rosario on the February 1st pay-per-view undercard of Benavidez versus Morrell Jr. Schramm, on the other hand, is 16-3-2 with 9 knockouts. He's a 29-year-old originally from Argentina, now fighting out of LA. He has dropped 2 in a row, losing majority decision to the aforementioned Gonzalez in November of 2023, and then suffering a 6th-round knockout to perpetual spoiler, the 14-6 Vladimir Hernandez last June. So on paper, it's no secret Ramos Jr. is supposed to win this fight. Like I said earlier, maybe there's something that Schramm's team has seen for them to put their hand up. Maybe it's redemption on their mind. Maybe they just want to get the taste of getting knocked out by Hernandez out their mouth. But fighting a Jesus Ramos Jr. after you already got knocked out, that is a tough hill to climb. And this is probably the reason why Schramm is a 14-1 underdog. Moving forward, I want to take a closer look and educate everyone on who Guido Schramm is and what he's been up to in his career. Schramm is 16-3 with 9 knockouts. He's currently ranked 164 in the world at 154 pounds. He carries into the ring a 56% career knockout to win ratio. The Argentinian boxer is a 29-year-old orthodox fighter standing at 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. He last fought Vladimir Hernandez, who was 14-6. He got knocked out in the 6th. That was a late replacement on Hernandez, so people were kind of shocked in that fight. Gonzalez was 33-2. He lost a majority decision in the 10th. Paul Kroll, 10-0, draw. Jahai Brown, 13-0, majority decision in the 10th. Jonathan Sanchez, 21-5, won a UD in the 10th. So Schramm's trying to pick up his first victory since 2023. It's a tough test to solve with Jesus Ramos Jr. He's going to be there to get hit. He does have a little bit of pop in his hands. It's going to be your classic southpaw versus orthodox style. He does have high-level training partners. You've seen this guy travel to get training with Hamza Shiraz. You've seen him travel to get training with Bakram Murtazalib. He's been trained by Freddie Roach. So the guy has the skills and he has the tools. It's just boxing. The reason why you get matched at certain times in your career is because the people who take care of you are supposed to see where you are in your development. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I expect Schramm to go in there and shock the world. He needs to come in there focused. He needs to come in there poised, have a game plan, and fight really smart to avoid the power of Jesus Ramos Jr. Let's take a closer look at Ramos's career. Guys, Jesus Ramos Jr. is 22-1 with 18 knockouts. He's currently ranked number 10 in the world at 154 pounds. He carries into the ring an 82% career knockout to win ratio. The American's 24 years old, and the southpaw stands at 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. His adoring fans call him El Mono, the One. We last saw him fight Jason Rosario, 24-4, knockout in the 8th. Johan Gonzalez, 34-2, knockout in the 9th. Erickson Lubin, 25-2, he lost to UD in the 12th. Joey Spencer, 16-0, knocked him out in the 7th. Santa Maria, 13-2, UD in the 10th. So it's no shock, no surprise what we expect from Jesus Ramos. This is an aggressive young fighter. The southpaw is going to be pressure forward. I think he's going to want to get Schramm out of there early. I think he's going to want to do exactly what a common opponent did, Hernandez, and knock him out. He's going to want to show the world and remind everyone what he does. Now, his name doesn't get mentioned a lot. There are not a lot of fighters calling him out at 154 pounds. That division is super exciting, and him ranked number 10 in the world, another exciting performance, even though it's late replacement, is going to continue to put his name up there with the big names. Like I said, there's fights happening in the next few weeks in the division. Zeus fighting Spencer. We just saw Thurman destroy Brock Jarvis. So you have to think another knockout, and it's going to be impossible for the division to avoid Jesus Ramos Jr. I'm a big fan of his style. I think he's a dangerous opponent for anybody in the division. Remember, guys, down here in Australia, the betting app, because you guys ask me a lot who I use, it's Sportsbet. So these odds are strictly from the Australian betting site. Let's look at the money line first. If you're taking Jesus Ramos to win money line, $100 only gets you $4 in return. If you think the Argentinian fighter is going to shock the world, 14-1. 100 gets you 1,400 back. Now, the method of victory is going to add a little bit more juice on this matchup. If you're a fan of Ramos and expect him to win and you want to put him on a parlay, Jesus Ramos to win by decision, $3.80. So $100 gets you $3.80 back. The knockout is $1.34. Keep that in mind. $100 gets you $34 back. $34 back is way more than the $4 back on just the money line. And the bettors are not expecting Ramos to win a decision. More importantly, they don't expect Schramm to take Ramos the distance. The draw pays 34-1. Guido to win by decision, 26-1. Guido to knock out Ramos, 23-1. So the odds are slightly in Guido's favor, even though it's a long shot for him to knock out Ramos. This is what the bettors are thinking. Ramos is going to stand there and trade. The chances of Ramos getting caught by a lucky punch against Schramm is a little bit more higher than the chances of Schramm taking Ramos the distance. So when I look at these fighters side by side, Ramos is going to be a little bit taller. He's going to have the longer reach. He's going to have the power advantage. He's going to have youth on his side. He has everything on his side. The momentum. This is why all the money's on his side. And like I said, I could tip my hat to Schramm. He's a brave guy. He's a very proud fighter. Fighters who come out of Argentina are the same way. It's an opportunity to get him back in the ring, and he thinks it's an opportunity to get him back in the winner's circle. I just think that Jesus Ramos Jr. is too much. I'm taking him to win. I like the $1.34 by knockout. I think he gets it done within the distance. I'm not going to predict the round, but I will throw Jesus Ramos Jr. at $1.34 by knockout on a parlay. Stay tuned to the YouTube channel, the community section. I'll show you all my bets. Now, how do you see this fight playing out? In the comment section below, do you see Ramos Jr. winning by a decision or knockout? Do you see the Argentinian upsetting Ramos Jr.? And whatever it is, let me know.
He's been down that road so many times between all the amateur fights. Give him a look that he hasn't seen. He's
trying to look for some round.
Yeah. Oh, another big cut up the right eye now.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to my channel. This is Johnny, and in today's video we're going to be going over the statistics that nobody talks about when mentioning this weekend's world title fight at 154 pounds between the champion Sebastian Fundora and the challenger Chordale Booker. Guys, the WBC and WBO world titles will be on the line when Sebastian Fundora steps into the ring and challenges the challenger Chordale Booker. We know that every time Fundora fights, we have to talk about the height and the reach advantage. The reach advantage alone, he's gonna have a 10-inch advantage. He stands around 6'5.5". Booker's listed at 5'9". We haven't seen Seb since Tim Tszyu, the bloody fight in which Fundora took Tszyu's belts. We last saw Booker last June when he knocked out Chavez. So in this video, we're gonna break down what both fighters have been up to. We're gonna talk about the pros and cons, how each fighter will go about their business in regards to coming home with the belts. Also, we'll talk about the odds, Las Vegas, where's the money at, and stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to be giving you my prediction and telling you how to make the most out of your money. This is a unique Southpaw versus Southpaw matchup. We know that Fundora, even if just on paper with any of his opponents, just had the height and reach advantage, that would be a tricky puzzle to solve for any opponent. But Fundora has boxing skills, and he just turned 27, and I feel he's still maturing. He's still developing a ring IQ as well as still polishing his skills. So he's not a finished product at all. I think that the naysayers could put away his one loss. When people talk down on Fundora, they talk about what happened in the Mendoza fights, but that's just one fight, and we know fighters learn from their mistakes, and he has as well, and he's become a world champion since then. He does really well as he uses his jab and he punches off of his jab. He also has sneakily good footwork in the pocket. He's able to create angles, steal points on the inside, and win rounds. Also, what I feel that he does really well is he drowns his opponents with the volume, and he kind of has sneaky power too. When you're standing at 6'5" and you're punching down, just sheer physics will add a little bit more power and pop on your punches. Chordale Booker, another southpaw, he has skills as well. The guy is a perennial contender. He would love to be a world champion. I think what he's gonna have to do is really go after his strengths. I think one of my favorite attributes of Chordale Booker is his body work. So when you look at a 5'9" versus 6'5.5" fighter, Booker should be able to get on the inside if he moves his head. Doesn't take a lot of damage. Now I want to fill everybody in a little bit more on what to expect in this fight. Guys, after upsetting Tim Tszyu in a split decision victory to become the unified WBC and WBO Super Welterweight World Champion last year, Seb Fundora is on the brink of bigger money fights. First, Fundora must find a way to get past gritty Chordale Booker from Michelob Ultra Arena at Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Las Vegas this Saturday night, in which both of his titles will be on the line. Standing at 6'6" with 80 inches of reach, Fundora has a praying mantis frame from which his jab can poke away at opponents, keeping them at bay, frustrated, and down on rounds. Against Booker, Fundora can pluck away with that stick to keep the challenger out of rhythm. That jab I was talking about, he's constantly moving with perpetual motion. Watch Fundora's split decision win over Tim Tszyu from last year, and you'll see how masterfully the towering Inferno pivots in and out of the pocket, almost like a clock able to go clockwise or counterclockwise. While he is producing this slight movement, Fundora remains pumping out the jab. When opponents do manage to get inside of his massive reach advantage, Fundora is also able to turn that jab into the front end of a stinging combination, making him a complex puzzle to resolve. And that's exactly what I said. Even if he wasn't 6'6" with an 80-inch reach, he still has skills. As aforementioned, Fundora can turn that jab to piece together combinations quickly when needed. Plus, he has deceptive power that erodes opponents' guards and tosses them deeper into the blaze, meaning rounds will pass, his opponents will get frustrated, and then they'll make a mistake. Chordale Booker has never faced an opponent with the unique dimensions of Fundora, but who has? The unified super welter world champion is literally a 1-in-1 in boxing. Therefore, Booker would be aided by his ability to change levels to get on the inside, avoid the jab, move his head, get low only to explode upward effectively, and that'll be a major key for Booker. Once inside of Fundora's reach, Booker has to stay there embedded into the pocket. Like I said earlier, the challenger must use compact blows and dirty boxing to chip away at the unified world champion. On paper at least, the phone booth strategy far suits his chances better to leave with the titles in tow. At 5'9" to Fundora's 6'6", Booker's ability to cut the champ down to size will be contingent on the challenger attacking the body. Sitting on his punches to the body, something that Booker already does pretty well, will be critical towards Booker's upset chances and realizing his dream of becoming a world champion. Guys, right now I want to take a closer look at their resumes and see what they've been up to individually. First, let's look at the challenger, Chordale Booker. Guys, Chordale Booker's 23-1 with 11 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 48% career knockout to win ratio, and out of 1,994 middleweights in the world, he's currently ranked number 40. His adoring fans call him the Gift, and the 33-year-old American is a 5'9" southpaw with a 70-inch reach. We last saw him fight Chavez, 14-4 knockout in the 3rd. Vendetti, 23-5 UD in the 10th. Rodriguez, 27-6 knockout in the 2nd. Hernandez, 27-6 knockout in the 7th. So with Chordale Booker, this is a guy who's had championship aspirations. He only has one loss. That was in 2022 to Ammo Williams. So this is kind of my hesitation when I'm thinking about who I'm picking in this fight. I'll get there in a little bit, but when he fought Ammo, he got caught with a punch and finished. The pressure was too much for Booker, and that was his lone blemish. We've seen him go undefeated since. He's going to be outsized, outreached. I think he's probably going to be a little bit outgunned as well in this fight. But hey, whenever you have a challenge like Sebastian Fundora in front of you and you're a prize fighter, fighters always step up. So the last thing I'm going to do is underrate Booker and give him no chance. He definitely could go in there, box really well, and figure out a way to become a world champion. Only time will tell. Now let's take a closer look at Seb Fundora and see what he's been up to. Guys, Seb Fundora is 21-1 with 1 draw. He has 13 knockouts. He carries into the ring a 62% career knockout to win ratio. And he's currently ranked number 11 in the world at super welterweight. He is the WBC and WBO super welterweight champion at 154 pounds. His adoring fans call him the Towering Inferno, and at age 27, the southpaw stands at 6'5.5" with an 80-inch reach. We last saw him fight Tim Tszyu, 24-0, split decision in the 12th. Brian Mendoza, 21-2, he lost by knockout in the 7th. Ocampo, 34-1, UD in the 12th. Erickson Lubin, 24-1, finished him in the 9th. So just like his opponent, Chordale Booker, they both have one loss. That one loss came by stoppage. So when you hear his naysayers, they bring that up as well. Boxing fans are as fickle as we could get. You guys already know that. If we find one little chink in your armor, the haters will constantly focus on that rather than on the benefits and the positives. Look, the positives are this. This kid is a world champion. He has 2 belts around his waist. Watch his social media. He doesn't post a lot, but when he does, it's him training. You see his work ethic. He's very family oriented, and the reason why that's important is because you know his values are specifically hard work and winning, and it's hard to bet against a guy at 154 pounds when he has that height advantage. I can't speak about that enough. Tricky southpaw as well. He's very skilled, and like I said, he's still developing. When I look at these guys side by side, it's impossible to look at the height advantage. It's impossible not to pay attention to the reach advantage. They're both southpaws, and I like Seb Fundora's style. I like how he uses his jab, and I like his tricky footwork in the pocket and his usage of angles. He's not one-dimensional. And like I said earlier, if he was just 6'6" with an 80-inch reach with no skills, he would still be a tough task for any fighter to solve, considering at 154 pounds, most of his opponents are 5'9", 5'10", at that. So going into this fight, I want to now transition and talk a little bit about those odds and where Las Vegas is putting their money and where the bettors are putting their money. All right, guys, the app that I use down here in Australia is called Sportsbet. So let's first look at the money line. If you put $100 on Seb just to win, you only get $9 in return. He's a huge favorite. If you put $100 on Chordale Booker to win, you get over $800 back. So he's close to a 9-to-1 underdog. Now let's look at the method of victory. This is kind of the way that I kind of like putting fighters on parlays rather than outright bets, which you could find a little bit more juice if you just choose the method of victory, either a decision or a knockout. With Seb Fundora to win a points decision, you get 340 back, so 100 pays you 340. That means that if he does knock Booker out and you picked him on your parlay by decision, you lose that ticket. Seb Fundora to win by knockout, $1.52. This adds juice from a little bit over a couple bucks back on him winning to 52 back on 100. The draw's 26-1. Chordale Booker to win on points decision, 21-1. So the odds are super far away for Chordale to outbox Fundora the whole time, go to a decision and win. 100 gets you over 2,000 back. Booker to knock Fundora out, that's a bigger underdog than actually him winning either by decision or knockout. It's close to 12-1. 100 gets you 1,200 back. And I'm gonna put this on a parlay, and like I always say, I will put that ticket in the community section so you can see it before the fight starts. I'm gonna parlay it with some fights on the George Kambosos card and some of the fights on the undercard. I've been keeping you guys up to date all week. We know Kambosos is taking on Wiley, and if you haven't seen those videos, they're on the channel. But for my prediction for this fight, I'm taking Seb Fundora by knockout at $1.52. I think that he's gonna be too much. I think that problem for Booker to solve is gonna be too much. I just think Fundora is a better fighter. You had the reach to the equation, you had his height to the equation, you have the confidence that he has from already being a world champion, you have the age as well. I just think Booker is at the top of his game already, and I just don't think that's good enough for him to beat Sebastian Fundora. You don't have to agree with me in the comment section below. Let me know, who do you think wins this fight, Seb or Booker? Whichever one you pick, let me know how.